What is up, Retro Maniacs? My name is Mike. His name's Joe. His name's EP. And we're here to talk about cards. This week, we're going to tell you 5 ways that grading is a scam. I know. We all do it still anyway. I know how the game is played. We know how it works. But really, when you dig deep into it and really look at it, it's a total scam. You know it. I know it. We're going to talk about it. So the number one reason we have the grading as a scam is the lack of grader's notes and transparency in your grades. We all get cards that look beautiful and we get them back, and the other person that had an opinion that works for the company didn't quite match ours. Sometimes it's really off. You get like a 4 or a 6. I usually think if it's a 4, there was a major flaw there that you missed. But those cards that looked really nice that you got a 7 or an 8 on, even, you have no idea why. You even look them over again in the case and you're like, I don't see it. I don't even understand what they're saying. But guess what? You have no way of knowing. Yes, at a certain level now, they give you grader's notes if you're grading a really expensive card. But what about the rest of us that are sending in the 1.5 million cards per month? That's probably 1.4 million that aren't expensive. We don't know why you gave us a 7 on that card that looked beautiful. This is why grading's a scam.
You know, I'm going to disagree, Mike. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm disagreeing 100%. Because there is one company that gives you grader's notes. Yeah. Subgrades, MFer. Prop aside, I see EP's got some props as well. Props aside.
How do you have a Beckett hat?
Remember the National.
Yeah, I gave you one.
By Brady. Yeah, I gave EP one as well. I asked you if you wanted one, Mike, and you said I don't wear hats. So here we are. So for the rest of this, I'm going to wear my Beckett hat in solidarity. Seatown Funk doesn't comment anymore, so he won't be triggered. Yeah. So lack of transparency is the biggest thing, and I joke about Beckett, but I do like the fact that they do have subgrades. I think
absolutely yes.
If anyone complains about Beckett, and I get it, I get every complaint you're going to have about Beckett. I 100% agree. That being said, graders notes or subgrades is the closest thing we're going to ever have to graders notes. So I appreciate that they do that. No one else does. And, you know, if we can do it for comic books, detail graders notes in some cases, and it doesn't matter, you know, it could be a comic from the 1970s that's not a key and it's really not worth a ton. They will provide graders notes there. The grader has to kind of have graders notes at least in their head. Why can't they just take the extra 20 seconds to write them down is beyond me. And with PSA pushing back the time frame in which they're getting you your cards back, maybe those extra 20 days that they're getting to grade that card, throw 30 seconds in to give us some graders notes on why you made that card a 7 instead of a 9. And we're going to talk about inconsistencies later, but yeah, you need to kind of prove it, right?
Yeah.
100%. Like the difference between a 7 and a 9, but the difference between a 9 and a 10, the difference between like 8.5 and an 8 or an 8.5 and a 9. Like they need to, like, graders notes would be the solution to this entire problem. They're probably not gonna do them, even though, like Joe said, like they have to have them in their head. Like I won't be surprised also if they actually kept the notes on file for some of the cards, at least, even if they weren't the graders notes. So yeah, this is just the inconsistency that should really be there. There shouldn't be a question about it, even though it is subjective, right? Subjective is the right one, I think.
Yes,
even though subjective,
depending on who you ask, EP. Depending on who you ask,
even though it's subjective, there still should be things. I sent in that order. My last order I sent in was the one with a lot of the Marvel cards. I got back a lot of 9s, and I know that some of those should have been 10s. And I'm not going to send them because it's not worth sending them in to get a $60 card back after already getting them graded once. But I know a couple of them probably should have been 10s, and I cannot see anything on those cards. And if I had a grader's note that just said whatever corner, or just said whatever centering on the back, something like that. I would feel better about it. But I know, like, I wouldn't have sent them in if I would have thought they were going to come back all nines.
And keep in mind, a lot of people that are sending in cards have probably been looking at cards longer than a lot of the people PSA has working for them now, and look at them longer. So, you know, they're going to make a lot of mistakes for as many cards as they're doing, and would just be nice to know why you thought this was an 8 instead of a 10. All right. The second reason that grading is a scam, PSA 10 values. Come on, people. This is geared more toward the ultra modern stuff. There are a lot of older sets that if you get a 10, that card should be worth a lot more because there aren't many of them. But when you're talking about what, 50 to 60% of most newer stuff that's sent in gemming, should we really assign the values we assign to a lot of these cards? Should they really be 3 or 4 times the value? Because there are a lot of them. The whole point of grading originally was to find the ones that were better than the other ones. If they're 60% of them are better than the other ones, they really shouldn't be worth that much. And because of the fact that PSA 10s have value, and you can send in 50 cards, and if you get 10 of them that come back at 10, or 5 of them, you can make up for all the ones that didn't. This is part of the problem with why there's so much graded and why there's so much crap that gets graded, because you don't have to have a very good hit percentage to be able to make your money back, because the PSA 10 value is so out of whack.
And the reason that they're now pushing to 65 days, right? I mean, of course. So the PSA 10 value is wild to me because, again, you said 60%, Mike. So to me, like, a pack pulled PSA 4 should be worth more because it's way more rare, right?
Way rare, absolutely.
Like, and I kind of joke, but, you know, we've talked about, I think it was Griffey and the Mantle and people trying to build the grading rainbow of those. And some of, like, the lower graded ones are worth more than some of the higher graded ones. To me, it's like the problem I have is when PSA 10s are so much more that you're going to lose money ripping something unless you get that 10. Like, there's nothing you can do. If you get a 9, which is, we've talked about this so many times, the difference between a 9 and a 10 is like this much. It could be the bordering, literally this much of the bordering now.
Or it could be a coin that's being flipped, a coin landing on heads or tails.
Exactly. I mean, EP, you sent in a bunch of cards that were 9s. I guarantee you they did not all look just like 9s. I bet you a couple of them were a little bit better than the other ones. So to place that value on them, but it's that mentality that we have as a country, as a hobby. I need to be the best. I need to have the best. I need to show up my neighbor. I need to do all of those things. And that pushes the price of these ultra modern cards. Again, like you said, Mike, at the beginning, sure, a Tom Brady 2000, from 2000, a PSA 10 of what was Playoff Absolute. They really stuck together. They really worked for me. So that card deserves, that 10 deserves to be worth a lot more. But when you're pack pulling cards from 2025, should it be? I don't think so. And they are scamming you into thinking that it should be by the prices that they're putting on these cards. And I say they, everyone, whether it's on eBay or you're going to a card show.
I think this is like a root problem in the hobby. The PSA 10, the prices, the multiplier on the PSA 10. I mean, it's driving up prices of boxes. Like a box of 1987, like Donruss baseball or Topps baseball. Like, it should not cost that much, but they have a price that you're going to get 3 PSA 10s of the best card out of those sets, and there's no way you're going to get PSA 10s probably on any of those cards. But that's how they're all priced, and I feel like that as far as scamming, this might be one of the most egregious ones for me, because Everybody wants a 10. Everybody thinks they deserve a 10. Everybody thinks they have to have a 10, and that is driving up the prices on so many other things.
It was
to,
pack
like,
fooled,
astronomical level.
man.
Yeah,
was
right,
pack
right,
fooled.
yeah.
Pack
The
fresh even.
Pack fresh.
If you just take some time and think about some key cards and look at them, the multiplier on the 10, the PSA 10, the multiplier is outrageous compared to like a PSA 9, which half of those you could probably crack out and send it in and get a 10 off of that card. I'm not giving advice to do that, but I'm just saying half of the 9s are as good as the 10, but you have to pay.
Some people do that. You don't have to get that advice,
Sure,
EP.
sure, yeah.
Some people do
that.
that.
Yeah.
And one really quick point there, to the point where raw cards, we talked about this on the show before, raw cards are worth more than 9s,
Right.
because there could be a boat in that box.
Could
And
be a
that
boat.
pushes people to go for the 10, and they'll buy a raw for more than almost the 10, which is what a 9 is.
All right. Number 3 reason that grading is a scam. I'll put this one ahead on the list here because Joe just kind of referenced it a little bit. The PSA set registry. Now, we'll probably get some pushback from people on this. And trust me, I understand that people have fun with that, and that's a good thing. But PSA has talked you into thinking this is so important that you will now pay obscene amounts of money to get a card in a certain grade to make your collection a little bit better in the set registry than that guy. And this happens a lot. The competition just leads to a lot of cards that would never otherwise be graded getting graded. And those cards then in turn selling for a lot of money makes a lot of people go, oh, that PSA 10 of this common guy here from 1988 Topps sold for $400. I'm going to send mine in because look what it's worth. And then you see people, it's just a perpetuating problem. It's just a dog chasing its tail. And it ends to a lot of cards being graded and a lot of cards that don't really need to be graded being graded.
It's a dick measuring contest. The set registry,
yes,
that's all it is. And we know some people on Twitter that I may not follow, but I sometimes look at their account because Mike follows them. And of course they go onto the, you might be interested in this situation. And I'm like, oh, this guy again with the PSA set registry stuff. I made the comment too that it's like, it's almost like PSA's way of doing rainbows. Like you have to collect everything. You have to have everything in this registry. If you don't, you're a loser, you know, like, and that's kind of the push that they make. And, you know, one of the first, and I haven't done one in a while, it might be about that time. One of the first videos I did on Star Trek cards being valuable, right? It was a common from the 1967 set that was a PSA 8 or 9. And it just happened to be the highest one graded available. And it was like a $3,000 card. And I'm like, what could I buy with that $3,000 of this common card that in 1967 or whenever the set came out, people were just putting into pages. Even if they had pages, they were putting them in
rubber bands
and stuff like that. Like, why is that card worth so much? A common card, not a great scene. It's not the Kirk rookie card, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's just silliness. And it's, again, like you said, Mike, a dog chasing its tail. They just perpetuate it. Like, this is so important. If you want to show that you're way better than this other person, grade your card or keep buying cards. And EP, we watched Little Victories. He's guilty of it too. He does it too. And not only does he do it, guess who he's competing with in one of the sets that he's putting together? Nat fucking Turner. So, I mean, yeah.
I feel like you're going to lose that competition.
Yeah, I feel like you might. He always says, as an aside, he always says, yeah, this card always gets pushed back, that it's this one card in this set. It's Topps Chrome Gold, whatever. I forget the year.
Basketball.
But he's like, yeah. And he's like, this card is always miscut and PSA won't grade it. And he's like, but there are a couple that have been graded, and Nat Turner has one. I'm go, what? Nat Turner's got graded? That's shocking to me. But yeah, it's just the keeping up with the Joneses. I got to be better than my neighbor kind of situation.
I feel like in this instance, like, listen, I'm guilty of it too. Like the
We all are. We're guilty of all
yeah,
this stuff.
yeah. Like I put up these PSA boxes behind me just to show like I've grade. I've talked to you guys yesterday, last weekend about grading a card because I use grading.
I sent something to be graded very recently, and I hate grading EP, so I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah. Like I those 1992 Marvel cards in, and I made out really well because a couple of them were pop 1s or pop 2s, and they were part of the set. They're part of a set registry, and like I sold one card that I thought I would never sell for like $150 or something like that, just because it was part of the set registry. There weren't any of them out there, and so I'm guilty of that. When I sent those ones in that came back like mostly 9s, a couple of them were very low pop. I was hoping to get a 10 because I wanted to be part of that, to sell that first PSA 10 to somebody in the set registry. But
You're the problem.
I
are the problem.
I listen. I 100% agree. No, but so I feel like I'm part of that scam. But I also feel like when you're talking about scams, it's when you're not understanding, when you're preying on the people that don't understand how it works. That's the issue, I think. And I think there are a lot of people in the hobby that are grading cards and they're not doing it. They're not like really thinking about what they're doing.
All right. Number 4 on our list. Now, this one is interesting because it's upcharges. And I see people all the time. Well, I'm okay with it because that means my card's worth more. Really, your card should just be worth more without having to pay more for it. The fact that PSA has been able to institute a policy where they can charge you more to perform the service based on the grade they give it, and people are fine with it because they go, well, that means my card's worth more, so I'm okay paying more for it. What a brilliant bit of marketing they did there. But really, they're not doing any more work for it. So why should they charge you ridiculous amounts of money to upcharge it? And may I point out, they don't downcharge you.
There it
if
is.
you send in an expensive card and are paying one of the really high amounts and it comes back a low grade, they're not refunding you any money. So yeah, come on. I have to give them credit. This was brilliant that they have brainwashed people into being okay by this because, oh, well, it means I have a good thing. Okay, yeah, I get it. But still, at the end of the day, step back. Think, you took your car to the car wash and they did an excellent job. They made it cleaner than it ever was. And now we're going to charge you more for it. You would probably go, that's ridiculous. If you went to, I don't know, a restaurant and they made your meal better than they ever made it before and you got done with it, you would be okay paying 3-4 times what you would have paid for it normally on the menu? No, you're not. But somehow with card grading, you're okay with it. Just you can argue with me. I know people will, but just think about it in terms of everything else in the world.
Yeah.
And then look at card grading.
Mike, why did you have to bring up lunch or food? I haven't eaten lunch yet. Hungry. I want some buttermilk pancakes like you would not believe right now from Perkins. Twin berry syrup and butter. Anyway, focus. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with they don't downcharge, do they? And that's the thing. Like when people say, oh, they upcharge, so I must have something really good. Okay, you still have to sell it, right? Like, what if I don't sell it? What if the market changes, right? What if Justin Herbert tears his ACL? What if something happens to Caitlin Clark? What if? What if it
was a Wander Franco card?
What if it was a Wander Franco card? Right. We talk about timing. Now we're talking 65 days for them to do bulk stuff, right? 65 days, a lot can change. So they upcharge you, whoever decides when that period is that they decide to upcharge you. And then by the time you get the cards back, the card is worth way less because something happened in the world that you have no control of. And when Jeff Wilson interviewed, I forget the guy's name, when Jeff Wilson interviewed the guy from PSA, and he said, oh, we use upcharge kind of like an insurance policy, that's not good enough. And Jeff did not push back. And we've joked about Jeff being such a terrible interviewer because he just wants to suckle the teat of the people in charge at these different companies. He doesn't really want to push back. But my pushback would be, no one else does this. Like, this is a PSA problem, and we're talking about grading in general being a scam. But I'm sorry, PSA, we talked on our text thread, is the industry leader. and they're doing this. And it wouldn't shock me if, a year or 2 years down the road, if other people, it wouldn't shock me if SGC did it. Yeah. That's the one I'm worried about. And, you look at that and you realize they are just trying to get every single ounce out of you. They're already raising prices, right, on bulk stuff. Do they need to keep going after someone? Yes. If someone egregiously puts a card in bulk that they know if it grades a 10 is $1 million card, yes, they deserve to be upcharged. If someone's like on the cusp, though, oh, this got a 10, so it's worth a couple $100 more. Oh, we're gonna have to bump you up. What? That is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, it's definitely, in my opinion, financially for them to secure that money, it's one of the biggest scams.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, you said the word brainwashed, like brainwashing and brainwash, like that is, I mean, that could apply to everything we're talking about here today. Like that's such a perfect word for this.
Everything in the hobby in general, pretty much.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I can't. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
Well, we're
First
good.
time this week. First time this week.
Brainwashing is just the word, the best word.
He was brainwashed so hard that he forgot what he was going to say about the next point. That's what happened there.
Yep. I can't remember what this topic is. Seriously, like I was so excited about brainwash.
Upcharges.
Oh, upcharges. Right. I don't. No, I don't deal in upcharges. That's not my game. I don't have any cards that would get upcharged.
Well, so you send dollar cards, dollar commons in all the time.
Yeah, but honestly, that about, Mike sent in some cards from his big bulk order, and he got upcharged, and we were all trying to guess what the upcharge was, and none of us guessed the card. It was that Brady. It was that Brady Topps Chrome. None of us knew that was going to be the upcharge card. Yeah, but it was, because sometimes you just don't know.
I think another point that Mike made that I just want to comment on is like this is the same service. Like you're getting, they're not doing anything extra with it. Like, I mean, maybe they do if you send it in. It's more express if you send it in $500, whatever the super duper highest end level is. And like Joe said, maybe if you're sending in like a Brady Contenders autograph rookie or whatever, like that should get extra special care. But the bottom line is most of the cards that are being sent in, the 1.1 million or whatever the cards are being sent
1.5 million, I think.
1.5 million, sorry. Undersold that by almost $500,000. But I mean, like, so like the most of the cards that are being sent in are at that level. So the upcharge, that just feels like they're just trying to squeeze a little bit of extra juice out of everybody.
Yep.
All right. My fifth and final reason grading is a scam. Oh boy. Inconsistent grading. You're seeing it more and more and more. The more they're grading, the more I'm seeing this on social media. People that are just getting grades that make no sense whatsoever, they crack them out and they send them back in, and then they get completely different grades. I just saw somebody on Twitter who had 3 cards from, I think they were Topps Finest Football, might have been Topps Chrome Football, sent the 3 in. He got a 7 and
they were
8.
Downtowns, Mike. I'm sorry, they were.
Were they downtowns?
Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
Jaden Daniels downtowns. That's right. Yeah. Got a 7 and 8 and a 7. On
there was an 8-5. There was
an 8-5. A 7 and 8 and an 8-5. That's what it was. And then didn't understand why he got those grades, cracked them out. Then he got a 10, a 10, and a 9, I believe. The 1-7 went to a 9. The 8-5 went to, no, the 7 went to a 10. The 8-5 went to a 10, and the 8 went to a 9. And you see this all the time. There's no consistency in the grading whatsoever. And you get one grader, he had a bad day, he's not good at it, he's giving lower grades, or maybe he's given higher grades. Like, it's a complete crapshoot. I'm sorry. There should be at least some kind of consistent. Why should a card go from a 7 to a 10? Either the 7 was flat out wrong or the 10's flat out wrong. Maybe they're both flat out wrong. Maybe it's somewhere in between. But How can you, like, this company is just super popular and people just keep using it, yet this happens all the time. 3 grade difference in a card? How? Tell me how in the hell that should ever happen. The only way it happens is because somebody didn't do their job right. And that happens all the time. Yet we take this company as the final authority. That person that's making probably $15 an hour that was hired 3 weeks ago has the final say on what your card is worth, even though you've been doing cards and grading them, looking at them for 30 years. Clearly, their opinion should matter more than yours. Ran over.
Sounds like personal there, Mike.
It's ridiculous. It's just
it is
ridiculous. And you see it over and over and over and over again.
And you made the point, you know, like we watch Alico 3, EP, you and I watch Little Victories. And whenever they're doing PSA orders, you can tell that they know this. But when they do, for now, when they do SGC orders, it's like, oh, right on the money. Exactly what I predicted every single time. And this video is how grading's a scam. And yes, there are overarching grading issues, but we're kind of talking about PSA here specifically a little bit.
Well, when a company
because they are the
more
industry
cards
leader
than everybody else,
they are the industry.
PSA, yes.
They are the industry leader, 100%. And you know, I kind of look at it like when you go to a burger place and oh man, that first time that burger's amazing, right? And then they franchise, and it's a copy of a copy.
Did they charge you more for the burger that first?
Oh yeah, once it was delicious, they'll charge you way more. But as that, or here's a better analogy: Multiplicity. One of my favorite movies of all time, Michael Keaton, where they make a copy of a copy and the copy's worse. That's kind of how I feel about grading. It's like as soon as they expanded and everything got bigger and bigger and bigger, and there are so many more cards, but then that means there are so many more graders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as those graders keep being hired, they're, you know, maybe for me, centering is the biggest deal in the world. And maybe for you, Mike, it's the edges. So that could sway how we grade cards differently, right? So you have these folks that coming in. There's so many graders. There's so many cards coming in. It is impossible to be consistent, right? I'm not giving them a pass, but I'm saying we're sending in so many cards that they're not just the end all be all of what a card is worth. They're the end all be all of something else we talked about on this. How much you're getting upcharged for it, right? So you got this person making $15 an hour who doesn't know how to grade, but then they give you a 10 and they're like, well, upcharge, you know, and it's just all this kind of ties together. But yeah, at the end of the day, the inconsistency is wild. It is absolutely wild. And it's I'm sorry, PSA fanboys who might have stumbled onto our video. I apologize. I'm not actually a Beckett shill, by the way.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
wearing this hat for fun.
How much did they pay you to wear that? I hope it was a lot.
I cannot disclose the numbers, but it's for my rookie year and years to come. Anyway, but yeah, I think PSA is the most inconsistent. And the reason that is because they grade the most cards. And they have the most employees. So there's going to be such a range. It's a human thing that they're doing at the end of the day.
Yeah, we're not talking about like the mouth breathers on Twitter who are like, oh, I got this 9 on this gold prism to 10 that thought it was going to be a 10. We're talking about like these cards that were like, it feels like sometimes they have like a randomizer set up. Is it like put like 7, 8,
the wheel,
7, 8, 9 on it?
Spin the wheel
and just push a button and it's okay. Well, this came up an 8, so and they probably have like an 8.5 on there, like 1 for every like 10 other numbers, just so they like every once in a while they can
throw double 0 and roulette EP.
Yeah. And just this obviously is a huge problem. They have standards that they have put on their website. And every grader should follow those standards. And the bottom line is, if the card meets those standards, that's what the number should be. There's no way. The example that you sent us, Mike, with the 7s being turning into 10s and the 8.5 turning into or whatever they were, like that should never ever happen. Like you said, Mike, somebody either messed up the first time or they messed up the second time, and
somebody did.
They should not be they should not be grading cards. Like there should be a record of that. There should definitely. I guess there's no way to really do that, depending on who buys the card, sells the card, who ends up with it. But like they should be held accountable for when somebody grades a 10, a 7, and it comes back in a 10. There should be held accountable for that.
What EP is saying is they need to give us a way to report the grader if the grade is bad when we get our cards back. There you go. Nat, you did.
Again, though,
give us a little button in there in the app that says I disagree with
He's
this.
Trying to fire hardworking
Listen,
Americans.
no, all the problem is all those mouth breathers that I talked about earlier who get the PSA 9 on their number to 10 that they thought was for sure a 10, even though they didn't look at the card before they sent it in. Those people would all be reporting it. So they'd be.
Why are you calling me a mouth breather?
I will say to that point a little bit though. Why don't we just do AI grading, right? Because no one wants that, because they want to spin the wheel.
Oh, we're going to get the tag bots all commenting.
Right. That's what I'm a little worried about.
I'm sure hoping.
Yeah, everyone wants to spin the wheel, baby, because you know what? Sure, that Jaden Daniels might come back at 7, crack it open. It could come back in 8, 9, or 10 the next week, right? So, of course, no one wants AI grading because, again, they want that high. They want that that ceiling that they could get. I almost said residential ceiling for some reason. They want that. They want that ceiling that they could hit, and that's why they're not going to AI grade ever. That's why it's not going to be an actual thing that we do in our hobby.
I hate when the cars get to the residential ceiling.
Once they hit that residential ceiling,
TV there.
I watch so much HGTV.
I can tell. All right. Well, hey, it's almost like grading is subjective, and maybe we shouldn't put such a high value on the opinions of people working for a gigantic company. But what do I know? There you have it. They were our 5 reasons. I'm sure you're already fighting with us in the comments, so I don't have to tell you to do it. But thanks for watching anyway. Even if you're insulting us, we love you anyway. See you guys next week. Take care.
See you, boys.
See you.